Honestly, I don't know how to start the video. Uh, I'm gonna just make up a catchphrase. It's your boy ASAP Rocky's Prodigy. On a more serious note, um, as you can tell by the title, right? Your downfall is your rebirth. And what I mean by that, right, is usually we all experience like little downfalls. Maybe it lasts us a couple days, a couple weeks. But I'm talking about like the downfall that like changes everything. Cause the thing about, I guess, life in general is that you usually try to stick and hold on to a certain identity, especially when you're so present in the current point of time. And let me just move that a bit. And I wanted to just talk about my journey in a way, because I don't want this video to be like any longer than 30 minutes. So if I have to, I'll just like cut it and like make a part 2, which I plan on doing. This is what my channel is going to be all about. I got everything divided and shit. But I really just wanted to talk about my journey, my like how I rediscovered myself, my healing especially, and I guess like my own rebirth. Because my downfall started around it started March 2024. Realistically, it started back in October, but when I think back to like October 2023 and all that, when I think of 2023 for me personally was such a great year. And it's not just off the fact that I turned 18, it was just the fact that like everything just felt so nostalgic to me. It felt like 2013 all over again. And what made it even more better is just like that year I just had an amazing time. Like I'm not one of those people who are like always say like, oh, I wish I could have redone high school, blah 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 blah. I genuinely had a great high school experience. And not only that, but like I also went to Puerto Rico for the first time. And me being a big basketball fan, around the exact same time that I went to Puerto Rico, the Miami Heat were on a fucking Cinderella run, fucking play-in team all the way to the finals. And so like everything that could have happened for the best happened in 2023. And it was such like, for looking back at it now retrospectively, it was such a like very obvious sign that who I was during that time was about to die. Because I've always had such a struggle with identity, especially since like all my childhood. My childhood was definitely rough. Like, there's been a lot of great moments. Shout out to my mom, shout out to my grandpa especially. But obviously, there's been like a lot of parts that like really shaped who I ended up becoming to be. And not only that, but when I first moved out here to where I am currently, because my entire life we lived in straight fucking hoods and ghettos, and it wasn't until 2021 where I actually moved out here to where I live currently, out here in the rural area, fucking suburbs and shit. And at the time I was in like my first like serious relationship, and God, that shit was so fucking toxic. It was so bad. Like the first 3-4 months of that relationship was honestly pretty good. But like after that point in time in the relationship, it just went to go further down, to the point it got incredibly toxic. And I knew that it shouldn't have went on that long, and I tried like hyping myself up, or like trying to psych myself up to like finally make that choice and like pull the trigger and like end the relationship, but I never really got around to it. And instead I ended up digging like a hole for myself and being stuck in that relationship, to the point where I was never even really in love with the girl. Like, I really wasn't. I think it was just more like infatuation and things of that nature. And it wasn't like bad 100%. Like I said, it was honestly pretty great for the first 3 to 4 months, probably 3. But I ended up just getting I ended up being attached to that person, and towards the end being like codependent, not like heavy, like, but it was starting to show. And of course, the relationship came to an end when they broke it off with me. Like, I knew it too, because they wanted to meet up, and you know how you can feel people's energy change through text. I already knew what the meetup was about, and at first I tried to take it on the chin, until like a few days later I saw them on Instagram posted up with someone else. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I'll admit it right now, I had a fucking Kanye moment. Like, holy shit. I didn't eat or like sleep for days, bro. But it was in that moment, that specific moment, where I had like my first rebirth, right? Like that was like my first true downfall, because after I lost that relationship, I ended up losing like my friend group at the time that I was really close with. And it was over some shit that I never did. Never. I'll die on that hill. Like, I never did the shit that these niggas were trying to accuse me of. And in retrospect, the way I tried to defend myself was utterly fucking dumb and stupid. And I definitely should have had, like, sat down and spoke with them, like, face to face or on the phone, or like actually sit down and explain thoroughly what actually happened. And instead, it was only my childhood friend and one of my closest friends who actually lives with me. Niggas next door, no party. They were the only ones who like actually came up to me and were like, "Yo, bro, this shit sounds literally unfucking believable. Like, tell me the truth, blah blah." And I sat there and I told them the truth. I even told them like the parts where, understandably, it makes me look fucking horrible. But I told it in plain, because I have nothing to fucking hide. I had nothing to like fucking, like I said, like nothing to hide, anything. I just showed my entire fucking hand, the whole deck. And obviously I only told them, and I barely tried to defend myself, whatever, and I ended up getting taken out the equation. And like I said, like retrospectively, that was the way I didn't really defend myself, just made me look bad entirely. And so I ended up not just losing my relationship, I also ended up losing my fucking friend group of like 6 to 5 years. Well, actually, some of them I knew them for like 2 years, right? 2 to 3 years. And then one of them that hurt the most was a guy that I knew for like 6 years up until that point, probably 5, around there. It showed a lot about their character, and not necessarily mine. You know what I mean? Like, definitely the way I handled shit, horrible. But it showed me a lot about their fucking character, especially how quick I was fucking thrown under the bus. And I'm not gonna say that like I had like it was all sunshine and rainbows with them, because at the same time, like, I always used to be the butt of the joke because I always had severe anger issues. I'm not gonna lie, like, I was truly a fucking dickhead. And the way that version of me like died was very fucking like well deserved. Like, yes, it sucked. It sucked that that happened to me and how that shit like transpired, but it it needed to fucking happen. Like, I'm actually fucking blessed and happy that it happened like that. Would have I done shit different? No, not really, because I wouldn't be here today. Especially with like the new people in my life and the new people that I met, I would have let that shit transpire the exact same way, because I'm truly happy where I'm at. And of course, when that happened, and and I had to basically like, now I only had my homeboy literally next door, and then my close friend, and then my what's called my niggas from Garfield, right? But essentially, like, I was solo dolo out here, and I just dove straight into this new school. I really just dove straight in. I became way more extroverted instead of introverted like I was through most of like middle school. I became hella extroverted. I ended up going out more, being me, like, unapologetically, and I just started doing shit that I genuinely love to do. I started to like truly discover myself, not really rediscover. I started to discover myself and actually see what I like see what I like, or find the shit that I really like to do. Go out and like explore just the whole fucking county, the state, and just like go out and have fun. And of course, I was also working too. And that's what like 2022 and most of 2023 really was. And it was just me finding my like new people that I can call like good friends, close best friends, like that I truly care about. And it was just all about making memories, and also at the same time discovering myself, seeing what I was good at. Because the only thing I knew at the time was I was good at acting. I went to acting school during COVID back in 2020, thanks to my uncle. And other than that, I was just like, I didn't know necessarily what the fuck I was good at. I spent all that time just making crazy memories, like filming, taking photos, all that. I have a shit ton on my camera roll, and just truly learning how to just enjoy my own company. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and like ignore like the little elephant in the room, right? That's in the corner right there, like a cuck. That first breakup, like first serious relationship, it did do a number on me. I'm not gonna lie, cause what 3 months after the breakup, 3 to 4 months after the breakup, because it happened in March 2022. I I was able to move on. I'm gonna be honest with you. I moved on like that. And the one thing that she always always accused me of is like, oh, you a player, oh, you got other bitches, oh, you a hoe. Mind you, this is, I'm gonna say here, at the time, no, I was not like that. So I don't know what the fuck made her think that I had any type of like pull or game like that, because I was still like mostly introverted. I stayed to myself. So of course, after I moved on from the breakup and shit, I started to mess around, and I started to do link ups and all this other shit. It was funny because when I started fooling around with other people, like casually, nothing serious, I was like more surprised within myself, because I was always so like, especially during like middle school, because the school I went to, like, niggas were already like linking up with females and all that shit. I always firmly believed that I wasn't capable of that. I feel like if I tried doing a sneaky link with somebody, I would catch feelings like this off the hookup and blah blah blah. Like, I'm a lover boy, right? And I ended up discovering during that phase of mine that I really wasn't. It was really fucking easy. And if anything, it made me really hide a part of myself, which was vulnerability. Like, I didn't let any of them get close. Like, I didn't want none of them to get close. I didn't want nobody, like, none of these girls to, like, really sit down, get to know me. Like, if you wanted to know me, we just had to be strictly friends. And I mainly did it because I didn't want to get hurt again. I didn't want to literally be curled up in my bed, like, crying like a bitch. Yeah, I'm gonna admit it. Like, niggas have all done it. Like, I was crying like a bitch during that time, during the first month. First month into, like, fucking laying in my bed crying about, this girl. And so, like, when I was fooling around and when I didn't really let none of these other girls, especially some of, like, these good girls who definitely deserve the world, I didn't really let them get close. I had too much fucking storage on my phone, so it wasn't letting me record. But I found a workaround, so we back. But I was essentially talking about how I wasn't letting none of the girls that I was hooking up with, like, get close, because I was afraid of being hurt again. Like, I didn't want to go through that. You know what I mean? No one wants to go through a heartbreak. No one wants to go through something that hurtful, especially since, like, it left some trauma on me as well, because I already, like, I already seen a lot of shit just growing up. I seen a lot of shit to the point where not even my family members really know, you know what I mean? Because I was always so disconnected with my family members, other than, like, sometimes my mom, but I would just say my grandpa, other than my grandpa, really. Because it wasn't until, ironically, during that year, 2022, 2023, where I started to actually spend more time with my family and genuinely finally start to connect with them. You know what I mean? Instead of just always having such, like, a bad, report or whatever. My entire time just doing that, like, having a fucking blast, doing crazy shit, just being a teenager with my close friends, like, with my best friends, like, my small little group that I had, including my new group that I had, still also small, that I met along the way. I was just living life to my fullest, and I couldn't have been any more happier, especially since I was discovering what I really wanted to do in life. What were my dreams? What were my goals? I truly wasn't, like, worried about anything. If anything, I guess, like, the only ego I had was the fact that, like, I was unclaimable because I wasn't with anybody. I didn't want to be with anybody. Like, we could be friends. If you want to hook up, that's cool. But, like, other than that, I was strictly just said, like, I'm okay by myself. And I truly was. And that was the most 50-50 thing about it, though, because it didn't really come from, like, a really good intention, you know what I mean? It just came from the fact that I got fucking burnt. I got hurt. And I just, like, I closed up instead of just confronting it face on. And because of that, I ended up facing a lot of issues with just commitment, like not being able to commit to somebody. So I always used to ghost, I used to rant, I used to come up with dumbass excuses. I used to self-sabotage a lot, bro, a lot. And because I wasn't, like, taking anybody serious, and I was always just doing my thing, or with my homeboy, I had a mindset where I was like, I got my peoples with me. Like, they always here for me. I got my homeboy. They're always gonna be here for me. Like, I don't really need anybody. I'm okay by myself. Like, I got all this shit unlocked. And all of that, like, that 2022 mentality bled into 2023, and it kind of, like, solidified itself. So it was like I finally knew who I had a blueprint. I had a great foundation of who I was, but I also carried some of, like, some I guess very important bad pieces or trauma from my time, just like, just growing up, and it bled into this, this life. And I remember, leading into 2024 and everything, I dropped out of high school because they held me back off of math. I think I needed like two more points to like fucking graduate, and I wasn't gonna graduate. So they just held me back instead. And I was like, fuck that. Fuck all that. And I just dropped out instead to go chase my GED. But at the same time, because I was so caught up in doing what I was doing, I procrastinated heavy on the GED. And I just kept fooling around. But not also fooling around, I also was trying, like, I was also in the process of, like, learning how to fully lock in, because I started working like, almost full-time hours at, my job. And I also started to, like, really, really deep dive into music, into writing, because my biggest talent has always been writing, either on computer or on notebook. Like, I'm a writer through and through. And I started to, like, really, like, study, like, the basic and fundamentals of everything, of just, like, just relearning shit, even if I knew it, just to learn writing, what's it called, acting, photography, videography, and then just music, because music has always been the biggest part of my life, through the fucking horrible, through the bad, through the good, and through the very fucking good. And I just started, like, deep diving into just culture, really, and started to learn more about myself through that way, and how to express myself in that lane. And I ended up falling in love with fashion. I like, it's ironic because I never really cared about fashion growing up, but I always had a good sense for it, like a great sense, but at the same time I just didn't care. So I ended up caring more about fashion, how to, like, properly, like, really not present myself to the world, but how to like express myself, not present myself, because I want to show the world who I am. I don't want to put up a front. I just went on a crazy deep dive studying, and at the same time, like, I really wasn't going out as much, but I was still having some type of fun, you know what I mean? So I was starting to be more, like, at home and just doing, like, a whole bunch of shit while also trying to, like, work. And I ended up quitting my job, which was Dunkin'. Like, I've been working at Dunkin' since I was 16. It's like the only job I know. I ended up quitting this other Dunkin', that the Dunkin' I was working at, because I used to work one, obviously, back when I lived down in the city. I obviously, moving out here, had to switch jobs, I ended up quitting that one because I ended up being very confrontational with the manager. The manager did not like me. And I'm a great worker. I could just say this. I'm a great worker, and I'm really just more of a vibes guy. Like, you don't gotta like me. I don't gotta like you. But as long as you respect me, I'm still gonna fuck around with you. Like, yeah, I don't really like you, but, like, if you're a good worker, I'm just gonna respect you through and through. And it's just mainly just the work environment. I'm not gonna be the guy to fuck up the vibes. I'm here to bring the vibes. I'm here to, like, just have fun and just try to make the job at least less fucking stressful, less, like, fucking mundane. The manager just did not fucking like it. And I knew that he was my assistant manager at this other Dunkin' that they had me working at. And I ended up transferring from that Dunkin' to just specifically get away from him, because he just did not like me. And I don't know what I did, or I don't know, if it was, I guess, how I presented myself to him. I don't really fucking know, or express myself. It doesn't matter. On my last day, the day I quit, as I was closing the store, the nigga removed me from the work group chat and all that other shit on some petty shit. Like, I'm talking about, like, 8:30 on the dot. Like, the nigga didn't even let me leave the building yet. And I was like, all right, bet. Because I was on my way out. I said, hold on, let me turn around. I scribbled on paper, not gonna say his name, but I wrote his name and said, "You're a bitch," in bold letters. I don't give a fuck. He always did some snake shit behind my back. He was never man enough to do it in my face or say how he felt. And since he wasn't around for me to express how I felt, I bet, say that. I just wrote him, and I still got the photo too. I took a photo of that shit. Hold on, let me pause it because I gotta grab water. Alright, sorry, I'm back. Got my fucking water. So, that happened, and I said, fuck all that. And I'm not gonna lie, for the next month and a half, close to 2, I didn't have a job. I was just at home, not necessarily doing anything, but I was like, fuck it, let me start creating, let me start making like concept short films, because I wanted to make like cool little short films, but I didn't want it to be too cinematic, and then at the same time I didn't want it to be like just like a fucking like little compilation, like a little highlight reel like we have now on Instagram. I wanted a nice in between, which is, I called it a concept like short film. I wanted to tell like a little story or whatever, using like real clips, like real videos that I've recorded of myself just in the moment, right? And maybe occasionally slip in a couple of like, you know, pre-recorded videos like specifically for the project. And I remembered I made like 2 short concept films. I think they were both like 10 minutes, or one was like 6 minutes, the other one was like 12. And I archived them. I'm not, because that was a different point in time, and there's no reason for me to unarchive it now. But I posted it on Instagram, all that. I remember like putting so much time and effort, going through my camera roll, making, if I was choosing the videos I was choosing, I wanted to see what was the earliest video I chose, what was the oldest video I chose. So I was choosing videos and shit in between that time frame, like the timeline. How long did I want this and this, like literally the whole 9 yards, just putting my soul into it. And I think I restarted twice, and I spent like, I pulled off 3 all-nighters, took photos and all that. Like I went the whole 9 yards. While I was working on that, or on the, you know, on that project, I ended up having a whole fucking midlife crisis like at 18, because one night I was just sitting there just thinking, and I don't know why, but it fucking like, it utterly terrified me knowing that like, holy shit, like I'm 18 in a blink of an eye I'm gonna be 20, 21, and then I'm gonna be 20, and then in a few years I'm gonna be 30, 40, 50, 60. Like my days are gonna slowly but surely start flying by. I need to start, like, I'm gonna grow old, I'm not gonna look like how I used to, blah blah blah, like, oh my god, and the whole 9 yards. And I, like, it just terrified me, the idea of just growing like old to the point where I can't do certain shit that I love. Like I love basketball, I love playing it's one of my biggest fucking hobbies. And like whenever I take a break from this and work, I go straight to the fucking court and ball. And if there's some, I don't need to play pickup games, I just practice. Like literally, it's such a big hobby of mine that I practice like I'm a fucking pro, you know. I had like a whole fucking midlife crisis and all that, and eventually I got over it, all that, and eventually I had to start working a job. And one of my old managers, right before I had this bitch ass one, she reached out to me and she's like, hey, I work at this Dunkin' in upstate New York, and we have a spot open, and I know how good a worker you are, and everybody here is cool as fuck, chill. I would like to bring you apart. I said, fuck yeah. I took the job immediately. Even though it was 40 minutes from my house, I didn't give a fuck. I took the job, and I wasn't going to start until like a couple days after New Year's. Now we're in the part now here. Now we're in the part where I'm gonna start talking about, right? This is where my downfall started to happen. I wrote down, I think on my notes or on another, I'm pretty sure it's another notebook that I lost. I don't think I threw it out. I lost it somewhere. Ironic, right? Because of my name. Whatever. I like wrote down everything that I like, all my goals, everything that I wanted to do for 2024. Like I wholeheartedly believe that 2024 was going to be my fucking year, because I already set good foundations literally just the previous year. I had all this shit planned out, mapped out, what I wanted to do, what was the first thing I was going to start doing, which is I wanted to start focusing, like making more short concept, like film, like short films, and going all out. I ended up reaching out to a guy named Trey Riley, or I'm gonna just call him Trey. I'm gonna call him Trey. He was a great content creator on Instagram, all that. He's a videographer, and he the next short concept film that I was gonna make was using the song by Ryan Trey, who I actually got some advice from. It was Mutual Butterflies by Ryan Trey, and I wanted to make like this nice little like short concept film, and I wanted to just lean more towards the cinematic instead of just like the real life shit, because obviously I still had commitment issues, but I had a certain story that I wanted to tell and show through the film, because I don't like telling. When you do shit like this, show, don't tell. Shut your mouth. If you want to tell a story, explain it through your actions, not through the words. It was going to use Mutual Butterflies. It was going to be like basically like a cute little fucking video, right? A cute little film. And I was going to post it on Instagram mainly, and maybe on YouTube. And while I was in the process of doing all that, I had other short concept film ideas all lined up. And I was doing some very light networking. And while I was doing all this, I ended up making some like good friends, or good acquaintances in upstate New York. And I actually made two friends. Shout out Athena, because she was my original hairstylist, and shout out Jesus. I still fuck with you, my dog. I promise I'm gonna go back and visit. I took that upstate New York job serious, because obviously it was funding the shit that I wanted to do, but at the same time, it was an escape from just New Jersey itself. Like, it felt so good to have a reason to leave state, even if it wasn't really that far. It just felt good being somewhere else, somewhere that wasn't here. It's just an escape for real, like an honest escape. And I cherished every moment I had like out there, and I made the best of all of it. Unfortunately, my time there, it came to an end once my car broke down. And then the manager who first hired me ended up actually leaving and got replaced by the assistant manager there, who was he was honestly really cool, but the second he became a manager, he became a straight dickhead. And he wasn't necessarily good at his job either, even when he was an assistant manager. So he became very hypocritical. But my car broke down 5 minutes away from my job at a traffic light. And that car is gone, by the way. I have a new one. It's a fucking Legacy. I obviously called him, let him know what's happening, because he used to be a mechanic, and he actually drove out and came and helped me out, moving the car and all that. And took me to work. I did my work. I ended up having to call like an Uber or Lyft to get back to my crib. And I started sharing my mom's car, because my mom had a 2021 Honda Pilot. And we just started sharing the car. She would drop me off or sometimes pick me up, this, that, and the third. And it really didn't hit me like how much for granted I took having a car until I lost it. Because now I wasn't able to drive out and go meet up with my friends, go hang out with my friends, because I'm like 90 to 95% of the people that I know I'm older than, or at the time I was older than, because obviously I got new people and some of them are older than me. But I was the one who mainly drove. I had a car, license, everything. So the second I lost that car, all that shit went out the window. Not only that, the people that like I was really close with, and I had that whole mentality back in 2023, like, oh, they're always gonna be here, and they always gonna be there. I don't need nobody else. Life started happening for them as well, good and bad. Not only that, they all got into serious relationships, including my homeboy over here. And so not only they get in serious relationships, but they also, life started lifing for them and for their partners. So obviously all their time is just taken up entirely, and maybe occasionally I'll get some of their spare time, which at the time, retrospectively, it like offended me, you know what I mean? Because like I always made time for yeah, but I didn't understand. I did it. And it wasn't until much later where I actually had an opportunity to talk with them, or just briefly talk about them with my fucking god, talk about it with them. Need another sip of water out of that. Holy fuck. I didn't really talk to anybody, or I didn't really have anybody other than the people I was working with at the time. Couple days after I dropped my second short concept film, my homeboy, not this one, my other one, he ended up hitting me up one night. He was like, yo bro, like, come over, let's chill, let's just do whatever. I came over. It was him and my homegirl, shout out Fran, and we were just chilling. We were doing some stupid shit. I got a video of that night. And after she left to go home, I think it was just me. It was a joke. I was like, yo bro, you and me both got bikes, we got BMXs, let's just hop on that shit. Let's take a backpack with us and let's just bike around the entire area. Mind you, there's hills here, barely any street lamps. Like I said, this is like straight farmland, country land, rural area, so small town shit. And we did exactly that. We started at 10:30 p.m. and we went to our high school. Went to the football field, sat on the bleachers that was facing the sunrise, took little videos, and we just sat there just really chilling, like enjoying each other's presence, enjoying the moment. And we were talking about shit that we had going on in our lives, him with his girlfriend and his life, and me with my own life, and the struggles, but the change of scenery that I'm, about to have. We sat there until 7 a.m. The sun fully, started to, was fully arisen. And we went straight back to our cribs. I knocked the fuck out. And I had to wake up at, 1 o'clock. Because I got home, I showered and all that. Woke up at 1. Had to get out the house by 1:20 so I can get to work on time, because 40-minute drive. And a few days later, I think the manager pissed me off, right? I forgot entirely why, but I ended up hitting him up, and I was like, yo bro, let's do that shit again. Fuck it. I'll call out of work, so I don't gotta work tomorrow. And I sent that text message, didn't give a fuck, and we were out. And we did the same shit. This time we ended up running into a couple people that we knew, so we ended up fucking around with them for a couple hours, and we decided to ride down go up hills, and just so we can go down them, just really just have fun, just being a fucking teenager. I was 19 at the time. I woke up, right, because we watched all that shit, went home, showered, all that, and around 8 a.m., right, because I got home at 7:30. I didn't knock out till 9. I got a text message from the manager basically saying hey, so you already put in your 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. I found a replacement. You're terminated. Yeah, you don't need to work these 2 weeks. You're done. I was like, word, my nigga? That's how it is? Whatever, fuck you. Because I already had another job lined up. And I didn't really care after that. I was like, whatever, because I still have my homeboy, the one we just had, I spent a whole night with and everything. And little did I know, that was actually the last time me and him actually fully hung out, because other than like a few appearances after that, like, maybe to just drop him off here real quick when I had my mom's car, or just pick him up, we couldn't hang out like at all, because I was at work and he was with his girl or with his family, or in the process of moving out, all this shit. And my homeboy over here, I saw him a handful of times, but life was really lifing. And all my other friends, they were all in relationships, but they lived far away. So while I was waiting to, start up at the new job, I took a break on my creatives, because now I was like, shit, I don't got a job, I don't got any of this. I need to like just take a break. I need to focus. And just being isolated, being alone, it started to take a toll. Like, it started to slowly take a toll on me, because even though I was having a great time, like I was, having a great time and everything I told you guys, behind the scenes through that, I was mostly alone, other than, like I said, because life started lifing for them. So I would have certain moments to hang out and all that, but most of the time I was by myself at night doing whatever. And like I said, around that time, I felt some type of way. I was salty about it. So because of that, this is also my fault. I stopped texting. I stopped reaching out to them. I started to just try to be on my own. And that's when I started to realize that the only reason why I was so okay or so fine being alone last year is because they were there. And they were there, and their relationships were still brand new, you know what I mean? Or half of their relationships, because the other half were single, and the other half, just started their relationships, but it's still brand new, you know what I mean? It wasn't something that didn't get a chance to fully marinate. So I basically had false confidence about, like, yeah, I don't really care. I love chilling by myself, and whenever I want to hang out, I just hit up my niggas. We always got time and all that. No, this is when adult life starts kicking in. So I started struggling with that, and I slowly started to hate the fact that I couldn't commit to anybody, because, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it got pretty lonely for me. It got really lonely, to the point where I just wanted to feel how it felt having someone there, or having someone to, like, want me, you know what I mean? And in a way, I feel like that was karma, right? That was karma for that little run that I had from 2022 to 2023, where I was just bullshitting around. I realized in that moment that I got so much great shit lined up for me. Like I said, this year is supposed to be my year. Like, I don't got time to fool around. I don't want to do that shit anymore. I don't got time for it. Like, if I'm gonna talk to somebody or meet somebody, I want it to be serious, or I want to take it serious, because I don't got time to fucking fool around and do that shit. And we're getting close to the end. Sorry. And most of this is probably going to be unedited. And if I am going to edit it, I'm going to make sure to not do any major edits or whatever, because I want to keep this like raw as possible. But I struggled a couple nights, and I think up until that point, the last time I really cried was June 2023. So June 2023 up until, we're not even in that part of the story. But I basically, this was June. So basically, I didn't cry for a whole year. And the reason why I cried in 2023, like I said, the Miami Heat had a Cinderella run. After game 2 of the NBA Finals, we lost 3 straight, and I had to watch the Denver fucking Nuggets and overrated Jamal Murray fucking celebrate like Oh, Jamal Murray was celebrating like if Jokic didn't do 90 fucking 5% of the work. But yes, I'm huge into sports. Yes, I didn't cry like a bitch. I just sat there and I just let the tears. I silent cried. I was just like, fuck these, fuck this nigga. I like Jokic though. Shout out Jokic and DeAndre Jordan because he was on the team. But everybody else, go fuck yourself. Um, but yeah, up until that point, I didn't cry, and I was bottling up so much emotions. That's a year of emotions, bro. A year. So that bottle was fucking. It looked like a spider web with the amount of fucking cracks and shatters that it had. And I was trying to find ways for it to not let it get to me. And because I took a break from creatives and I started to like think about it, I got back into meditating because meditation was such a big part of my routine from 2022 and 2023, and I kind of stopped late 2023. So I started to get back into meditation and really really trying to learn how to grasp a situation full picture wise. And it doesn't get any better from here because I told you this was the downfall. um it just like the year got worse from here, but I finally ended up getting hired at my new job, and they had me for the first week. They had me like going to two different stores to like train. It was like a Dunkin' slash Baskin Robbins, and this Dunkin' was like a regular Dunkin' that was like 10 minutes away from Willowbrook Mall or some type of mall. I don't know. It was one of those two, Garden State or Willowbrook, and or I don't even know if it was by a mall. I'm gonna be honest. I'm damn near lost on my locations at this point. And they were pretty cool. The district manager was very on dick though, but like she was very strict. But I was like, it was whatever. And because of that, and because now like the Dunkins I was working at, I was the youngest person there. I was no longer like the third oldest, and then the two other people were like 25 or 28 and like 33. You know what I mean? Or I was like I was like, or sometimes I was like the fifth oldest. Like basically it was like half young and like half old. Now like I'm the youngest. Everybody's fucking like 27, 33, 40, and I'm the only 19-year-old there. Like I'm the only 18, 19-year-old there basically, right? So I'm like, so I started to just be more professional. I started to properly learn. I already knew how to code switch, but I knew how to do it at a much better level now. Especially since I'm working with like older people, I let them rub off on me. But for some reason, like I'm proud of where I came up from. Straight hood, straight ghetto projects, all that. I'm proud. Like, yes, the neighborhoods suck. The neighborhoods, all that suck, all that shit. But I'm still like, anybody who's from the project, or either from the projects, from the hood, from the ghetto, whatever, from the city in general, that city life, yes, it sucks most of the time, but we still love it. We're still proud of where we're from. And I've seen, when I moved out here to the suburbs, it was such like a huge culture shock for me, a huge difference, you know what I mean? Because a lot of the shit that these niggas were saying would have never fucking slid down there because you would get punched in your fucking mouth for it. Over here, it was no repercussions. So, and obviously, and like, Trump supporters being everywhere, but other than that, this place is really great. I'm just gonna give you a heads up on there, but I for some reason just had like a strong mentality where like, yes, like I can code switch, I can like be proper and shit, but don't let it don't let it get fucking twisted. Like I'm still a hood nigga. Like I'm not whitewashed, I'm not this, I'm not that, like, nah, fuck all that, like, you know what I mean? I had such, I don't know why, I don't know why I, like, was, I had that mentality, and I never, like, I never really had, it was always there when I first moved here, and I just learned how to suppress it, but for some reason, I just had to, like, during this specific time, I had to let it be known, or not let it be known, just how I carried myself. And now I don't care. Like, now, like, I'm not, and I can sit here and admit, like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm whitewashed, because I still got the hood nigga in me, you know what I mean? But I'm like, how was it? I'm just more, what did Kevin Gates say? Bougato or whatever. I'm that. I'm that. Like, I don't really care. Like, yeah, to some people, they might think I'm whitewashed, and that's completely fine. I don't care. But at the time, for some reason, this version of me did. So the way I was holding myself, it didn't really, you know, I don't really know why I did that, but it didn't fucking matter. So while, during that 1 week while I was, you know, stationed there and working, I started to finally dive into songwriting. I dove into it years prior, like when I told y'all, when I was learning to discover myself and everything, but I never really focused on it because I wanted to focus on visuals and all this other shit, but I always kept in the background because I'm a writer at heart. And so now I started learning, like, song structure, chorus, bridges, melodies, and I mainly learned the songwriting structure because I was learning how to write raps. Don't get it twisted, the whole 4 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars still confuses me. I'm not gonna even lie to you. But I realized that most of songwriting, or, you know, the writing, and, you know, most of songwriting, I already had a natural affinity for. Like, I knew what I was doing, but I just didn't know the proper term. It's like people who naturally are gifted in drawing, like, they know how to do color shading and all this other shit, right? But then when someone who learned how to draw to get to their level, when they start explaining, like, oh yeah, you know, the color shading here is fucking beautiful, and the way you color this in to make it look hyper realistic, and this, that, and the third, and they're standing there like, the fuck are you talking about, my nigga? Like, I thought this shit was natural. I thought everybody knew how to do that. You know what I mean? That's how I am for writing. But I ended up diving into songwriting. Ooh, the voice crack. I ended up diving into songwriting, and that was actually the creative that I started to focus on when I started working again. So when I got off my little break. And let's just say fantastic songwriting material came right out of it. Diving into the music world, learning how to songwrite, that was that was the beginning foundation pieces of my rebirth, right? Of my second rebirth. Because this downfall that I had, my 2024 downfall, because 2024 was a downfall through and through. It had some good shining moments, but it was a completely horrible year. It was literally my downfall, and it led to my rebirth. Like I said, your downfall is your rebirth, and I already went through one, right? To that first rebirth was to finally bring the real me out, but this second rebirth was absolutely necessary to finally, like, to fully hone who I am, to really, like, just challenge myself. And as you guys can tell, that's what most of 2024 really was. It was just me challenging myself, trying to adapt to certain situations, even though, like I told y'all, the list that I had started failing one by one. The shit that I was tackling in my personal life also kept me distracted from my creative projects, but I still managed to put out some creative works and some projects, do a little network. I was still like balancing it out, sort of. But at the same time, it took a minute in between those projects because I was procrastinating because obviously I didn't have much time to myself to like just chill and watch YouTube or like catch up on shows, whatever. And at the same time procrastinating because just the idea of like sitting and editing and doing all that shit, like so much work, you know what I mean? But it's everything was just going on a downward spiral. And diving into the music world and fully learning how to songwrite and all that, okay, like all this other shit, though, that was like the main foundation piece of my rebirth. And I kind of knew it at the time as well, but I didn't know that I was on a full-fledged downfall, because I thought I was like, oh man, I'm just right now, yeah, like I'm falling a bit, but shit, I just discovered this, now I'm gonna start rising. Fuck no, nigga. That's a different topic. So this is the end of part 1 right here. So let me just double check. But yes, that's where this video ends, because obviously your downfall is your rebirth. And that's gonna be the title. I'm gonna just call it part 1. Part 2 would definitely, it most likely will have a different title, but I'm gonna just put part 2 just to let y'all know that this is together. Like, this is everything that I'm trying to tell y'all or preach to y'all is part of a much bigger picture, much bigger journey. Because I think, I only need to break this shit into two videos, and if I have to, maybe 3. But the biggest thing about this is redemption. Right. But that's it for all that. Holy shit, I said if the video was 30 minutes long, I'm gonna cut it, but I got carried away. I'm a yapper, but I'll put on some like background music and whatnot to like keep you in tune or whatever. But if y'all sat through this yap session through and through, thank y'all for sparing 55 minutes of your time, 58 or an hour of your time. I'm gonna try to cut some pieces out. Thank y'all. But like I said, never forget, authenticity is currency.